I wanted to play some of her thoughts on it and get your reaction on that issue of equity versus equality in SOT 26.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place, right?
And being guided by this principle of what we must do in the spirit and in the interest of equity, to put equity firmly at the center of our economic policy.
That was by a Twitter account called NWokeness, which is a great follow. What do you make of this notion?
It's totally crazy talk, Megyn. Look, I think most Americans, regardless of their skin color, would say we want people to work hard to actually get ahead, right? We want people who benefit from this great American system to benefit if they work hard and play by the rules. You can't say everybody has to end up in the same place because some people are going to work a little bit harder than others, and that's fine, and we want those people to be rewarded. The other crazy thing about this, Megyn, is it justifies some really monstrous discrimination from the Harris administration in the name of so-called equity. Let's just take one example. There was a farm program that the Harris administration put in place to help farmers who are trying to get off to a start in farming. A great program, something I support, but I think it should apply to farmers whether they're white or black or any other skin color. The Harris administration explicitly said, if you're a white farmer, don't apply. A court found that that was illegal, and that monstrous level of discrimination based on skin color is what is justified when people start appealing to equity instead of equality under the law. The fundamental American principle is we treat everybody the same. If you work a little bit harder, you should be rewarded for it. If you don't work as hard, you shouldn't be rewarded for it. But you don't discriminate against people based on their skin color because you have some crazy left-wing notion that you have to put everybody at the exact same place at the end of the day. It sounds kind of okay, kind of weird depending on your perspective, but if you think about what it justifies in our government, it is taking us back 50 years, discrimination on the basis of law, discrimination on the basis of skin color. It's bad news, Megyn, and I don't think we should go for it.
It sounds kind of communist is what it sounds. And it's pretty alarming. That decision you referenced about the Biden-Harris administration on the farmers and the ranchers would give the help to black farmers irrespective of their financial situation. So literally Oprah Winfrey could say she has this ranch out in Montecito and that she wanted to take advantage of the program and she would get it. And some struggling farmer or rancher in Appalachia would be denied if he happened to be white. It was insane. And discrimination on the basis of race is illegal. And so that's why it was struck down. You know, it wasn't so long ago that the same people piling on you now, Joy Reid, who says you only care about white moms who want to stay at home, even though you're married to a non-white mom who is not staying at home.
Yeah, just crazy talk.
They were in love with you after Hillbilly Elegy until, because they thought you were like a Trump whisperer. You were the guy who could help them understand the evil man who had ascended to the presidency. But there was an interesting exchange that you had on Joy Reid's show back in the day. This is 16, discussing your book. We pulled it up just for kicks. Here it is.
JD, thank you so much for being here. I have read so many think pieces about your book and seen so many interviews with you. I have the book right here. Can't wait to dive into it. But your story, first of all, is fascinating. So the way you went from sort of Rust Belt country to Yale. But one of the things that's really fascinating about your story, JD, is how similar some of the pathologies you talk about are to the pathologies that normally people assign to African Americans, right? That, these ideas about the way you're raised mostly by your grandparents, the way that you were able to use opportunity like the military to get a college degree. That's very familiar across racial lines. So why do you suppose there's such a huge gulf and distance ideologically between African Americans and people from where you, like the ones you came from?
Well, obviously, a lot of it goes back to 40 or 50 years ago when the two groups sort of diverged because of certain policies that were supported. A big part of it is just that because of the way that Black Americans have been discriminated against legally, I think Black Americans have tended to focus on a politics of race and which party is going to provide the most racial uplift or tear down the most legal barriers, whereas white Americans have typically voted their pocketbooks, voted a politics of class, and so they've tended to not necessarily overlap.
Pretty fascinating. By the way, you look so young. It's crazy what's happened to you in the past 8 years.
It was before the beard, Megyn. That's a long time ago.
I feel like Usha's done a good job with you, JD. You kind of, you're sharper dressing, and I like the beard. In any event,
you gotta chill out with that. She's already arrogant enough about a lot of things. She deserves to be.
But I think you were making a good point there. And I think, even Joy Reid could see it back then. Now, maybe not.
Well, look, it's very simple. And actually, I think it's started to change, by the way, Megyn. I think you see a lot of Black and white Americans voting more along class lines, voting more along who's actually best for me. There are a lot of Black energy workers who are not going to benefit from the policies of a Harris administration to destroy the American energy industry. So I do think that's slowly starting to change. But it is interesting to sort of hear how fascinated these people were with my story 5-10 years ago. And now that I am on the presidential ticket, they've decided that I'm the worst possible guy in the world. It's fascinating to me. It's not surprising, Megyn. And it's kind of what I signed up for, right? I mean, I want to make people's lives better. My whole idea here, and the reason I accepted President Trump's invitation to join the ticket is because I think that Americans have been screwed over by a lot of stupid policies. I'd like to change that. And at the cost of changing that, as people like Joy Reid used to say nice things about me and now they lie about me, whatever. As Harry S. Truman said, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. I think it's an honor to be here. And everything that comes along with it, I just see as a necessary part of having to do this job.
Do you think America is headed in the right direction? Unfortunately, the next generation does not understand the values that have made America the greatest nation on earth. But PragerU is helping to counter that. PragerU is a conservative nonprofit that promotes American values through educational videos that reach millions of young people every day. Right now, PragerU has an amazing opportunity. If you donate any amount, even just $1, they will send you PragerU American flag socks made in the USA as a thank you. Make sure to go to prageru.com/socks to make your donation. You can support a great organization and express your love of American values in style while you do it. Your donation will help PragerU reach more people with their videos, which is needed now more than ever. Make a 100% tax-deductible donation at prageru.com/socks and get your socks today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.